Hello everyone, I'm Professor Geek. Welcome back to my channel. Today I'm going to talk about this news that has been floating around, these rumors about the sales of Bendis' Superman titles, the poor sales that should be, and the reaction at DC, how they're starting to take note that this little stunt didn't work out quite as well as they thought it was going to. I wasn't originally going to cover this because this news was originally broke from Bleeding Cool, and Bleeding Cool, it just doesn't deserve anybody clicking on that site. That Rich Johnson, that site is a horrible tool for his malevolent machinations. But enough people were asking me about it, what I thought of the news, and I've seen a number of fellow YouTubers actually do stories on it in which they go ahead and just read the whole article anyway. So I thought I would comment on this. It's good news in general. Overall, it would seem that if this is true, we are certainly winning. But we need to keep fighting because we've not won the war yet, just an initial battle. So the gist of the article is that the initial sales data from Man of Steel and Superman and Action Comics 1 is that these titles are nowhere near what DC expected. They claim that they're selling as well as Tomasi and Gleason and Jurgens runs. I don't know if I really believe that, especially after only having one issue of both Superman and Action Comics. I don't know if they're factoring in Man of Steel, which wouldn't really count since that was an event book. But anyway, the rumor claims that the sales are pretty much on par with what they have been, but that's nowhere near what DC has wanted them to be, especially after all of the money they've sunk into this in terms of hype, in terms of paying Bendis to come over, and the ad campaign, and just all of the things they were gearing up for this to be a big boom. And we all knew this was coming. I mean, how many people in my comment section and people making their own videos and such were just laughing at this ridiculous ad campaign trying to liken Bendis to Kirby, and Bendis is coming, and all of this nonsense. And then the boneheaded way they conducted the marketing and the teases and reveals for this story. How could anybody not see this coming? I mean, who really thought that this was going to be a lucrative thing to do? I mean, really, what was their data? Who is their analyst going out and thinking this is the way to go clearly, and Bendis, he's the name because everybody loves him? I mean, seriously, do a search on YouTube of Bendis commentary on his comic books at Marvel. Where do you see anybody overtly praising him that's not from 5 to 10 years ago? I really didn't understand their choice in doing this. It was rather naive. And now they're paying for that, or finally realizing it. And I keep saying they, and the article claims that the intent here is going to be to wrap this up as though it was one of Diane Nelson's decisions and kind of write it off as one of her bad decisions before she was let go. That is ridiculous. From the very beginning, this whole idea has been marketed as Dan Didio's baby. This is his vision. This was his dumb idea. He was the one that booted Tomasi, Gleason, Jurgens from the Superman titles and brought in Bendis because he was just rubbing his nipples with excitement over the darkness that was going to be infused into this universe now, and Bendis' idea for breaking up the family and inserting all of this soap opera nonsense into it. Why is he not even mentioned in this article? Again, who does this guy have compromising pictures of? Why are people so reluctant to lay the blame at his feet, at least in terms of official sources and news media? The fans, they know who's doing it. They're not stupid. The fans will lay it at his feet all the time. So that's nonsense. It's Didio's fault. So as I said, we've won the first battle. We've won this opening battle here against the direction and the basic New 52ing or marveling of the DC Universe that Dan Didio is just trying his best to do and bringing in all these people in order to do that. So we've won that first battle, showing them that nope, it's not going to be as lucrative as you want it to be. So that's a good thing for the higher-ups to take note of. We need to keep fighting, though. We can't just leave it there. And we keep fighting by refusing to buy these Superman titles. There are ways to read this stuff online if you're one of those fans who just needs to know what's going on. If you're somebody like me who reviews them and has to speak out about the occurrence, there are ways to find out what goes on in these titles without giving them money. And they're legal. It's not even anything under the table about it. So we need to continue to refuse our money to the titles that are going down this path. When the maxi series of Super Sons comes back, we need to give that some money because the higher-ups are going to have to see at some point, wait a minute, this run on Super Sons was doing incredibly well. You stopped this because it was necessary to bring Bendis in and to infuse his ideas for John Kent and all of that. You stopped that run. We've lost this many weeks of sales in that title. Now it's come back in a huge way for this maxi series, but it's only a maxi series? Who's making this decision? What numbskull is in charge here? And Dan Didio is going to have to raise his hand. So, just nonsense. We've won a great big battle. We need to keep fighting. This is the DC universe. It's not Marvel. It's no longer the morbid, dreary old New 52. Stop dreaming of a return to your glory that never was, Dan Didio. He needs to go. He needs to be fired, but the first step comes first, and that is to continue to disappoint them in the sales for these horrible decisions they're making. So, those are my thoughts on the issue. Not too lengthy or profound, but enough people were asking me to comment on it, so I wanted to go ahead and do so. Do check out the links in the description below. I do have a Patreon that I finally set up, and I haven't pushed it much, but I will go ahead and mention it now that my subs are up. And this is going to help me get the ball rolling on the book campaign for the book on heroic archetypes. Lots of good things to come in the Patreon, including giveaways, copies of my first book, and copies of the anthologies I've had fiction in, signed copies, of course. Different things going on there. Check out the link in the description or at the end of the video. One day this week I'll be guest starring on the Fan Man's channel for a live stream. We'll be talking about some of this. He actually just released a video on this topic on his channel, so do go check that out. That link's in the description as well. I'll be back, of course, for another live stream on my own channel soon, and more videos to come, but until then, keep enjoying and digging deeper into the hero stories you love. Thanks for watching.